いずくへ行こうと極陽を欠かさぬようにの。
Let's try this landmark. I don't know if we ever used this before. Did they add this in a patch? This is fucking cool. This would have been very helpful earlier, but I guess better late than never. But yeah, because I get lost. I'm a fucking goldfish, man. I get so lost in these fucking games. Glowing rice. That's fucking dope. Good thing we went left. Okay, I guess we're going right now. I see you, motherfucker. There's a munchkin by that tree. Oh shit, there's one on the fucking roof there. Look at that. Get down, motherfucker. That's right. That's exactly what I want you to do. Cooperation. Cooperation is good. Now if we can get this fool to cooperate. Yep. More cooperation. I can't stand those munchkin motherfuckers. I guess we're going this way. Look at this fool. I see you, motherfucker. Don't see me, though. Oh, cool. He doesn't see me. Really? What a dumb fuck, man. That's fucking cool. Hell yeah. It's my revenge for all the times their little fucks killed me. think this is where we fight that, yeah, like that Souls Night boss. I gotta get the pinwheel. So this is the one we need to give to that dude. I should probably do another backup save for that, because we can do the other quest too. Oh, and that's the headless waypoint. The first headless waypoint. Okay. So what's down here? Can we jump over there? Oh, shit. Okay, we did. Can we land on that tree? Oh, no! Okay, we can't land on the tree. Oh my god. I thought we were gonna die. Cool. So you can't land on... Oh, but there... So the tree is there, but you can't land on it. But they do give you a grab hook. Oh, to get down over there. So I guess if you wanted to jump... Okay, we'll come back. Let's see what's over here. Geckos. I can't fucking target them. Fuck! Oh, they're committing suicide. That one just jumped off the edge. There's the white flower, the white pinwheel. Cool, we got both now. I see you, motherfucker. Actually, I heard him. I didn't really see him. By all means, keep giving away your position. Whoa! What is this? More monkey booze. Oh, I know where we are. We're at the Headless. And there's a waypoint. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Nope, not enough. Okay, now that we have this, we might be able to get that, ah! So you can't go that way? So once you're over here, you're like stuck over. What the fuck? Why the hell did they do that? So I'm gonna have to warp over there. Fucking sucks. Yeah, once you commit to jumping over, you can't get back. What a bummer. Maybe there is a way, but maybe I was just doing it wrong, but it looks like once you commit to going over there, you're stuck. Yeah, I'll look it up later. That does kind of suck. Okay, so I kind of remember how this fight works. Fireworks would be good. Maybe even the maybe the umbrella. Don't need that. Okay. So we have to kick them off. We have to get him low on stamina. Break him near a ledge where we can kick him off. And I don't know. Hold on. So the first fireworks, yeah, a prosthetic tool fitted with Robert's firecrackers. And when you kill this guy, he calls out for Robert. So I don't know, like, is this his brother or what? Yeah, I should probably look that up. You know what? Let's put on the stamina. Is this one the stamina? Yeah, reduces posture.
Waga息子のため、その刀、置いてゆけ。敵、愚かなり。
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is my double emoji not working? Yeah, it's not working. Man, that range. Oh, shit. Come over here. You're ready to break. Damn it, I missed it. He's in the wrong position.
刃などこの甲冑には通じぬ。なぜそれを返さぬか。
There we go. Yes, he's calling for Robert. I still don't know who the fuck Robert is. Breath of Nature, Shadow. Oh, nice. Okay.
Boy.
Oh, cool. We got a waypoint. Pretty sure he'll find Robert down there. Yeah, I don't know the lore of that NPC. I should probably look it up. I just remember it from the first time when I played it 6 years ago. This is my second playthrough, so I haven't played it since the launch. I remember some stuff, but there's a lot I don't. Is a good game to read. Yeah, it is. The only reason I didn't, to be honest, is because this game, in my opinion, out of all the Souls games, requires the most farming, and I'm not really a big fan of farming in single-player games. That was the only reason, but I'm using a mod that pretty much negates all the farming, so I don't have to deal with that. Wait a minute. Yeah, because if you play the other Souls games, there is some farming required, but it's minimal. Like, you don't have to spend like that much time. But this game requires a lot of farming. I think if you're a pro, like if you're really good, you won't need to farm. But if you're like bad, like me, you're going to have to farm. The whole reason I fucked up on those wolves because I'm dicking around trying to fucking do these damn menus. If you've ever played Sekiro, or no, not Sekiro, First Berserker Kazan, there's a way where you can map your item bar to hotkeys, so you don't have to be switching. It makes it so much better. Yeah, First Berserker Kazan is amazing. I love that game. They fixed a lot of they added a lot of quality of life, and being able to bind hotkeys to your tool belt. Like, I hate having to like swap through crap like this. It just really, really sucks. That's the whole reason I'm getting my ass kicked by those wolves, because I'm fighting the controls. and there's no way to set it up that way. I look for mods, and there's no, like, somebody tried to do an auto hotkey option for the Souls games to be able to like bind hotkeys to your item belt. It just doesn't work. But yeah, First Berserker Kazan is legit. Although they did do something in that game with the farming that was even more than Sekiro, because you got to farm your lacrima, and then you got to farm the bosses to get the boss reagent in order to build certain armor sets, and then you got to roll your gear over and over again. For as difficult as the Souls-like genre is, there's so little accessibility options. Yeah, well, in my opinion, the Sekiro is the most difficult of the Souls games. If it's not really a Souls, it's, it's From Software, but it's kind of it's its own thing. It's not like Bloodborne and the other Souls games and Elden Ring, but I do think it's the more challenging, I guess. But the other Souls games on a 1 to 10 scale, if you're playing your first time, it's pretty rough. Like, I had a really hard time. But now, like, if I go play Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne, I won't say it's easy, but it's not that hard because you already kind of know, you kind of understand the language that From Software is using and what you can and can't do. But I'm certainly far from pro. I'm not like a speedrunner or anything. But I've tried to... not play a game that I like a lot too much, because if I do, then I get burned out. So I try to like I did a revisit of Bloodborne on PC recently this year. And as much as I loved it, I wanted to do a second playthrough. I was like, you know what, I'm going to back off because I have the tendency to play a game that I really love too much to the point where I don't even want to play it anymore. That happened to me with God of War 2018. So now I have a hard time having motivation to go play that game because I just played it so much. Oh.
Boy.
Yep. So you understand, yeah. And it's not that the games are bad. It's just you love them so much you just want to play them over and over. Like I think when God of War 2018 came out, I did like 5 playthroughs back to back. And then it came out on PC, and which was like, I don't know how much later. I think a couple years later. It was a while, maybe 2 or 3 years later, and then I played it again. And I had a hard time getting through it just because I was kind of burned out still. But it is a game I'd like to revisit because it's arguably my favorite game. It's like a masterpiece in my opinion. Oh, more monkeys. So I'm using 2 different mods for what I'm playing right now. One of them's a custom mod that I took and then I kind of altered it. And the way it works is all of your consumables are like, you don't have to farm, which I already kind of mentioned. But when I got the mod, the person that wrote it made it to where the spirit emblems were also not being consumed. And I didn't want that because that means like I'd have access to be able to just spam abilities or prosthetics over and over without actually paying anything. So the first day I played with that, and then I found a way to alter the mod to disable that. So now it uses it like it normally would from the base game. And then the other mod I'm using is this FPS unlock. I'm not using it to unlock the FPS because it screws up the timing. In my opinion, it's better to just leave it at 60. But the reason I'm using it, it's got an auto loot feature. And because I'm not needing to farm, I don't really want to be holding the loot button down all the time. So it just automatically loots. Now, if you don't have unlimited consumables and you need to farm, you don't want to do that because you want to go into areas, kill all the enemies without looting, and then pop the balloon and then go and loot. That way you get more back if you want to do the farming. I don't, so I don't bother. So I turn on the auto loot, and then
Boy.
I also disabled the death penalties because I'm not very good. If I was dying, I'd be losing a lot of experience, and then I'd have to farm experience. So If it weren't for that, I would just turn that off. But the dragon rot I leave on because from what I read, it'll screw it up. The auto loot would have helped me so many times. I've always forget to press. Yeah, it sucks. So, but you would want to use the auto loot if you're not planning to farm. Well, you could turn it off. Like if, let's say you wanted to farm, right? You could just come in here and just turn it off and then go farm if you want to do it that way. And that would work. I do think the first time you play the game, it's like I don't use generally any kind of cheat mods whenever I first play a game. Like if I use any mods, it's usually like something basic like skip the logo screen or something like that. But after I've played a game, complete it the way the developers intended, then I do the way I want. Oh, right. That's the other side. Okay. My favorite From Software games are, and it's not in this order, you know, I don't have one favorite over the other. Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Sekiro. Those are my favorite. The only one I have not played out of the entire series is Dark Souls 2. And I had bought both versions and I had considered playing it, but after researching it, there is a community that loves that game. And I've looked at the game. It's your favorite? Okay, yeah. There's a pretty big community that loves that game. It's kind of, to be honest, it's divided, man. I have no opinion. I haven't played it. But, you know, I've heard so many people praise it, and then I've heard people, like, shit on it. So, and I've loaded up, I've watched a few videos on it to kind of, like, evaluate. Because for me, whenever I go to play a game, if I'm going to commit to it, it's a time sink. And that's a game that's probably going to be, you know, 40 hours or so, or maybe even more, that I'm going to invest. And I'm kind of like an all or nothing type of guy. And if I'm going to commit to something, I want to do it. But when I looked at, I was kind of like, I don't know if I really want to play this, but, you know, maybe one day I will. Okay, I guess it's just a corpse. But yeah, a lot of people, you know, really love the game. But I don't have an opinion. I can't give an opinion about something I haven't experienced. Oh, this is where we came from. Okay, so I guess we're going up that way. But I've seen some gameplay of it. I mean, it's got some interesting, you know, things about it. Maybe we should try to grap.
Boy.
My favorite part was when it was ported. It wasn't meant for 60 FPS, so your weapon degraded twice as fast because it was meant. Okay, I didn't know that. I had not heard that. That's interesting. There's so much lore about these games, like even like outside of the game, like just secrets, things that players figure out about the games. And that part is really like its own thing. It's really cool. Oh, the munchkins. These guys fuck me up good. They sit there and chop at your ankles. You know what? Let me put on the... because they like to poison. We'll just put that on. when I first played Bloodborne, I played it on the console, and it was so hard to play because it was 30 FPS, and I'm primarily a PC gamer, so it it did make it kind of difficult dealing with. But one of my viewers was telling me that if it actually is easier to get like certain parries and certain attacks when it's 30 FPS because of the way the timings are. And I didn't believe him. I kind of thought he was full of shit. And then after playing a couple more Souls games and experimenting a little bit with the frame rate, he proved me wrong. He was right and I was wrong. I was like, wow. Because normally most games benefit from having a higher frame rate. But the Souls games, I think the sweet spot is 60. Like I did my Bloodborne playthrough, like I said, on PC with the emulator this year, and it played perfect at 60. I didn't try to go higher than that. I mean, it might have done okay higher, but oh, damn it. Oh, guess we can go grab this. Dude, Bloodborne, oh man. If you haven't played Bloodborne yet, you are in for a treat. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what you would like and what you wouldn't like, but it's an amazing game. There is one thing that I do want to mention. It's not really a spoiler or anything. It's in regards to farming. They did something different with Bloodborne that isn't traditional with the Souls games. So when you rest in a Souls game, you replenish your heals. But in Bloodborne, you don't. You have to actually farm them. Now, if you're good, you might not need to farm. And if you do, it might be very little. But if you're bad, like I was my first time playing, I had to farm a lot. Now, my second playthrough, I didn't have to do any farming. I even had a mod to negate it. But even with the mod, I wouldn't have needed to farm. I was good enough. I'm not saying I was good. I was just good enough to where I didn't need to farm. Because it's mainly like when you're doing bosses, because you're going to... Oh, shit. Because you're going to die from, doing boss attempts that you're learning the boss, and you're going to go through heals, so you're going to have to, Yeah. And I don't think that's, I don't mind... I'm kind of mixed on the punishing games. It depends on the punishment. Like First Berserker Kazan. It's pretty punishing, but at least when you go to fight the boss, you're right at the boss. There's no running back. So in that regards, I'm totally okay with it. But in Dark Souls 1, when you die, of course Dark Souls 1 is a joke, but that first time when you're playing through and you're learning, that was my first Souls game. I was dying a lot and I was having to run all the way back to the bosses. That's punishing. That type of punishment is not really for me. I hate boss runbacks. But some people are okay with it. Never forget the Gwen run back in Dark Souls 1. Got very familiar with Yeah. I'm trying to think of what the longest run back is for Dark Souls 1. It's been a long time. These guys are blind. Like, ooh, there's a munchkin over there. Like, Bed of Chaos is a pretty long run, but you can cheese it by logging out. Like, you do the first, you do one side, And then after you do one side, you can log out and it'll put you right outside the boss gate. And then you go back in, do the left side, log out, and then it puts you out, and then you go. That way you don't have to be running back. Although I didn't know that my first time playing, so I had to run back many times. If you're okay with playing, yeah, I only know because I went back after I did my first playthrough of Dark Souls 1. I think I did my initial playthrough, and then I think I replayed it and then I put it away. And then I came back maybe 2 or 3 years later and I played it like all through November and December. And I did like 3 or 4 playthroughs, and I got, it kept getting better where I could do like a, I didn't do a no-hit run or anything. I wasn't that good, but I did like a much lower level. I think I even did a rune level 1, not rune level 1, soul level 1. But it's Dark Souls 1. It's only hard that first time you're playing through, when you don't, especially if you've never played a Souls game and you don't know anything, it's going to be hard. But once you have played through the first time and maybe you've played a couple other Souls games, it's not going to be hard. But it's still fun because it's kind of like there's something really magical about that game. In my opinion, it's my favorite world design. The interconnectivity is just so amazing. I know they remastered it, but I wish they would, I wish, a company like Blue Point would remake it. Very much like what was done with Demon Souls on the PS5. Like, I did enjoy Demon Souls. I've got it on the PS5. But after playing it, if I had a choice between a Demon Souls remake or a Dark Souls 1 remake, I would have rather had a Dark Souls 1. These guys are really blind. I don't even have the extra stealth. Yeah, I don't have the extra stealth buff. These guys are super blind.
Boy.
Yeah. When you look at this game, like the colorations of the trees and the leaves and everything, you can see a lot of inspiration for what you see in Elden Ring. I don't, like a lot of people, were complaining about Elden Ring before it launched, like right before, saying that, they were disappointed in the graphics and how they didn't like that they reused assets. And I'm like, I didn't have that opinion. If it works, leave it. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but a lot of these publishers are, kind of forcing Unreal Engine 5 on development. And while it does offer a higher grade of graphic fidelity, it is at the cost of game performance. But we're not gaining anything in regards to the gameplay. And a lot of people, especially now with the economy, can't afford to be upgrading their PCs to being able to play all that. So, in my opinion, if it works, and this, in my opinion, I'm content with these graphics. I mean, are they hyper real? No, but that's okay. It's still a beautiful game. I'm in the middle of my first Elden Ring playthrough, and I think it looks exactly. I agree. I mean, I have issues with Elden Ring, but it's a gorgeous game. Mostly because that gigantic, glowing tree that you can see. Yeah. Oh, crap. I think he saw me. Whoa. Oh, no, he didn't see me. The other ones did. which, you know, I'm from the NSA NES gaming era, so anything that isn't pixel based is still yeah. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. It's not really a secret. I'm 50. I'll be 51 in March, and I've been gaming since I was 5. But when I say that, that's not a virtue signal. That's not by any means to, you know, say, oh, I'm a great gamer. I'm a terrible gamer. You would think I'd be a good gamer gaming as long as I have. Nope. I'm real about my abilities. I am not good. I see some of these young kids, you know, that are doing like these no-hit runs, or, you know, or when they'll do no-hit bosses and all that. And I'm like, I'm sure if I put the time in, I could probably do it. You know, I've kind of done that with some other games, but the time sink to do that is not really something for me. And then also I'd probably get to the point where I wouldn't enjoy it. So yeah, I stay in my lane. I started on what is known as a Commodore VIC-20. Oh. Wow, these things are dying now. I used to get my ass kicked on them. So yeah, I started with a Commodore VIC-20 that my dad introduced me to. It was just very, I hate to call it gaming, but it was like these little pixel-based, I think they were 8-bit games. And then, of course, moved into the Atari 2600, then the NES. And I never owned a Super Nintendo, but my friends did, so I'd go over there to their house and play, you know, like Super Nintendo games. And then I did get the PlayStation 1. I didn't get the Nintendo 64 because the Super Famicom, Nintendo and Sony, you probably remember this, they were working on the Super Famicom. And I don't remember the specifics, but they weren't able to do the joint console the way they wanted. I heard rumors that it was Sony, and then I heard rumors that it was Nintendo, like not meeting deadlines or something. So they scrapped it. Sony went and made the PlayStation, and Nintendo went and made the 64. But apparently there was a Super Famicom version released in Japan. I've seen pictures of it, but I never, you know, I don't know much about it or anything. And the PlayStation 1 was the last console I owned, because then I built my first gaming PC, and I went balls deep into multiplayer gaming and stuck with multiplayer gaming until I was like 36. And I played MMOs, first-person shooters, kind of like the younger generation is doing now. And then I got sick of all the cheaters and all the bullshit, and I said, you know, I'm just going to go back to single-player gaming. It was the best decision I ever made. Single-player gaming, in my opinion, call it arrogant, that's where it's at. Multiplayer gaming, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not really gaming. And I know that sounds really arrogant and ignorant, but I can say it because I've done both. And I did both for a very long time. And they're a very different flavor, but I don't really feel like multiplayer gaming is gaming, because you're playing against other players, sure. But the problem solving of single player gaming, if you get a good developer, is oftentimes far more challenging than what you're going to get from a multiplayer. And I know people would say they would disagree with that. It'd be like, no, when you're fighting another player, you don't know what they're going to do. You know, it's completely, you know, random or whatever. And I'm like, not really, because I've played multiplayer gaming long enough to know that what ends up happening with a multiplayer game, people find the most overpowered builds, and then they all play that. And then once they do, then you just find the counter. So you're just kind of playing the recycled bullshit. So it all ends up hitting a plateau. And at that point, you're not getting any better. Exactly. So you know what I mean. But with single player games, that's not really the case. I mean, I tried Hollow Knight recently, and while it wasn't really for me, it wasn't the difficulty, I was going to try Silksong. But I ended up refunding it because I realized that was not for me. Like I said, I stay in my lane, and I think if I were to play Silksong, I probably would end up in a padded room, and I don't really want to be in a padded room. or in a straitjacket. So I was like, okay, I'll just watch people play it, which is pretty enjoyable because it's a really beautiful game. Oh, I bet. But congrats to you for at least, attempting it or completing it, because I was just like, no, I already know what's going to happen. But that's the thing. If you were to take somebody who's like a pro level multiplayer gamer and put them in Silksong, they would just, even if they're young and their reflexes are, really good, like mine are not like that anymore because I'm older, they would get destroyed because they're so used to multiplayer gaming. It's a completely different thing. Now, one gamer that I do like, even though he's not particularly very good at single player games, is Dr. Disrespect. I don't really watch him that much, but I follow him a bit and I'll see like what he's playing. And what I do like is, while he'll do a lot of esports, he will take breaks and go and play single player games. And yeah, he doesn't do very well, but at least he tries. He makes it fun and he just, enjoys it. And I think that's really cool. I wish we'd see more people do that. Right? I've gotten a lot of bullshit from people about, shilling or praising Dr. Disrespect because of all the so-called pedophile rumors about him. And I think people are welcome to believe whatever they want, but I did a very deep dive investigation into those accusations because when Bill Cosby got accused of it, I defended him. And I defended him because I grew up on Bill Cosby. I watched his movies, I watched Fat Albert, I watched his stand-up, and I watched his television show. Now, I wasn't like a fanboy where I had posters on my wall or anything, but I defended Bill Cosby because I was like, there's no way. These are just women that are pissed off, disgruntled, just lying about them, because women will do that. And I've experienced that even in my life. So I thought they were lying. Long story short, we all know now they were not lying. He's a monster. He's a rapist. And that's putting it mildly. And, it was really disappointing. But I defended him, and I defended him against other people that, were convinced that he was a rapist. But to be fair, this was in the beginning, like the first 6 months. After a year, that was when I realized, after the first allegations were coming out, after a year, that's when I realized, okay, this is all real. There's can't deny it anymore. And I told myself, okay, I don't want to make that mistake again. So then the Johnny Depp issue came out, and that one sucked because I love Johnny Depp. And I was just like, okay, I can't make the same mistake I did with Cosby with Johnny Depp, but I also can't convict the man because I don't know that either. So it really sucked to kind of be in this limbo for years, wondering, is Johnny Depp also a monster? And fortunately we found out he's the first man in human history to ever win an argument against a woman. The man, for the most part, was innocent. And then, Dr. Disrespect's issue came out, and I investigated that because that one, not that I'm like this big fan, but I felt Dr. Disrespect was a special case because he's kind of one of these unique streamers that has done something that no other streamer has ever done. He's created a superhero. Like, he's like this superhero, persona guy who plays video games. And young kids, young boys, growing up, that's important to, have people like that. Like if I was a kid and I was into video games and I see this guy who's like pretty decent, pretty good at playing first person shooters, and he's kind of role playing this, kind of superhero character, like I would love that. That's fucking cool. Kids need inspiration. And so when we found out about the allegations about him being a pedophile, I was like, oh, fuck. From my research, he's innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. You'd have to do your own research, but I know a few lawyers that were connected to his lawyers, and that's how far I took it. And also, I think it was Slasher, who's a slanderous journalist. He's him and the other guy who worked at Twitch, who ended up leaving Twitch, broke the NDA. So I'll tell you what happened with that. So here's what happened. Years ago, Twitch was starting to implement a direct DM system into Twitch. This was years ago, right? And at the time, they required ID, legal ID, in order to activate and use it. So what ended up happening is if you were going to use the DM system, it was assumed that anybody chatting on the DM was 18 and older, because you needed an ID verification in order to use it. Dr. Disrespect started talking to somebody who was using the DM system who had to do age verification. Turns out that that person was underage. He didn't know it. And Twitch didn't know it, because what happened was that kid used their parents' ID in order to gain access and create an account. So the reason why there's been this big hush hush about it is because, not because Dr. Disrespect would be in trouble, but because Twitch would be in trouble. So they did a big payout and he was put under an NDA. That's the short version. There's a lot more to it, but that's the short version. But it kind of sucked because, they destroyed or attempted to destroy his career. And then they brought it up again, much later. I think Slasher was the one that posted on Twitch. Or no, not Twitch, X. Trying to ruin his career, and then Dr. Disrespect lost a lot of his sponsors. I think this was like 2 years ago. But I was kind of a little relieved, because I was like, man, that would suck if he really is, a monster or whatever. But you can't put it past anybody, even if you like them. You never know until, you got to make sure that you have like actual proof one way or the other, even if you like the person. Oh, more geckos. It's a lot of wolves.